Hello and welcome to North Star Stamper. I'm Susan Kramer. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Woodbury, Minnesota. Let me find myself on my computer. It's not working quite yet. Normally I am live. I don't know if you'll be able to tell that I'm not live right now. My video is not live. I'm alive. I know. Okay. Anyway, I am consistently North Star Stamper. Are you other places besides Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and online looking at websites? Let me know. I'd like to be where you are. I'm just curious where else you are online. So today I've got something a little different for you. I have a whole bunch of samples to show you. And let me give you something pretty to look at while I talk. Some pattern papers. These are from the Lovely and Beautiful 12 by 12 Specialty Designer Series paper. They were in the January through April mini catalog. And they are now online exclusives. I know I always want to know colors. So the colors in here are Calypso Coral, Darling Duckling, Fresh Freesia, Old Olive, Peach Pie, Petal Pink, and Gold. Having that gold, as you'll see in all my samples, was very fun to just pull out all the gold stuff I had in my stash. So that's kind of a fun tip. So looking at these papers, can you see the gold? Maybe if I move it around a little bit with that the light coming from there you go. But these four are so similar, I can't tell that they're different until I look at the back sides. So those are obviously four different papers. And we're going to be talking about both sides of the paper. So I love just the white and gold, and then here are the back sides. I used the green to make a masculine card. I thought with all these florals, I should try to challenge myself to make a masculine card. So what I'm sharing today are ideas for using 4x4 pieces of designer series paper. Normally I use 3x3, so at first it was really hard to do a 4x4 because our A2 cards are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so that doesn't leave us much room around the sides or top and bottom. So at first it was a little frustrating, but my last card I have to share with you is just so silly and very out of the box. So I have not more than 9 ideas for using your 4x4. I'll just leave these here so that when I'm between cards, you have something to look at. All right. So my first idea, and actually this is the paper I used. My first idea is just to cut something out of the middle of your 4x4 and flip it over. So in this case, I could flip it over, right? So I have another sample here, and this is a Z-fold card. Scraps, great place for a scrap on the inside of your card. All right. So when I was die cutting, let's see, how does this go? When I was die cutting this, the square I used, I believe it's the Stylish Shapes. And look, if you can see, take your pick. There's a dotted edge on the inside and the outside of the piece that's cut out. And when you flip it over, actually it was this way that I die cut it. When you flip it over, you lose that definition. So I actually cut 2 pieces. So this one, actually, this was from that. So I cut the dark blue, I believe that. This is from the Paper Mixer, Misty Moonlight. And this is Hydrangea Hue, I believe. So you can see I cut it twice and then just swapped the insides. So, and this is just a cute little, I guess, 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 if my blue was 4x4, and it'll still fit in an A2 envelope. So it'll just be in some extra envelope there. So cut the middle is my first idea. Okay, my second idea is to cut, in this case, I cut 2 pieces. I cut the 4x4 on a diagonal, and this is just an extra one because I had 2. And here's my card. It's a little busy, I think. It's a gatefold. I wish the layers I put on the 2 gatefolds, I wish I had just put plain cardstock. Even white would have been better. There's just so many patterns on this. But if you're just going to send a card to brighten someone's day, I think it's beautiful and very fun. So let's do a quick demonstration on how to do that. All right, so grab my trimmer and scoring. I got my scoring blade back. Thank you, Diane. So for all the ones I'm going to demonstrate, I am using the Waterside Retreat Designer Series paper. It is in the current May through August May through August catalog. So I thought this would be fun to flip over because you've got water on the back side. So to cut on the diagonal, I think I'm good there. Let me pull this down a little bit. I'm a little close. Let me back up a little bit. So I'm going to put the corners right where it's going to cut, right on that, right where it's going to cut. There's a channel there. So my corner here and my corner here, I'm going to hold it while I close this. And then I'm going to check again. I can see through the track that my corners are right there. And rather than just go this way, I'd squish that corner if I did that. So I lift it, and then I put my cutting blade in the middle of my paper so that I get nice, sharp corners. Okay, so now I want to cut the middle. I find the easiest way, and this I learned from the quote cards we're doing. I'm butting it up against the top of my scoring trimmer. And I'm, putting that corner right in the track. And now I'm going to hold it. There's no corner down there to squish. Not quite exact. I'm learning to be more exact with the quilt cards. So I want the point right in the cutting track. So there's one. We'll do it twice. Again, I'm going to put it on the flat side. Make sure my point's right in the middle of that. All right. Of the cutting track. So let's see if we can piece this back together. Let's see. It's like a puzzle, right? No, there we are. So there's our puzzle. There's our 4x4. And I'm going to take two and flip them. That is so cute. My dad might be seeing this in a Father's Day card. So that is my second idea, right? Yep. Cutting one piece. Here I just cut one piece because the front and back coordinated. Here I did two pieces because I don't know. I just did because I could. So it depends. A lot of these ideas depend on whether the front and back coordinate. Like they did here and they do here as well. So you just have to pick and choose which of these ideas you want to use on your project when you use a 4x4 piece of pattern paper. My next one, I cut my 4x4 into 4 1-inch strips. So that's 4 inches tall by 1 inch wide. I just used, like I said, I use lots of different gold elements. And these stamps are from the Phrases and Frames. The happy anniversary here, and then there's a little saying about anniversaries, which is great for the inside. So that's just staggering them and, staggering them. And then these are the same cut, 4 by 1 inch, but I went around, and it kind of makes a frame. If I had put this brown piece, the early espresso piece, in the middle, it would have looked like the green was just a layer. So if you have a piece of 4x4 and you wished it were 4 by 5 1/4 to be a card layer on an A2 card, cut it into 4 1-inch strips and then put a little piece in the middle. And if this brown had been here, you would not have seen very carefully that the green was not just one piece, because it's just a pattern and not just a tone-on-tone pattern and not something like this. If you cut this into 4 1-inch strips, you would see that it's different. But with this green, if I put that there, you wouldn't have noticed the difference. So here's my masculine card out of this floral print. So happy birthday. And I did a little more stamping with the trees on the inside and on my envelope. So that's my third idea, 4 1-inch strips. And that on the early espresso layer, I used the brand new, here it's in French, I started to read that, textured tree ring. This is going to be a July online exclusive product. So very fun to see that. All right, my next idea, this I used, you'll see I didn't use the Lovely and Beautiful Designer Series paper. I used the Homemade Sweetness. This was a March online exclusive, and this is kind of like a quilt card. I cut my 4x4 into 4 2x2 squares. So I just cut down the middle and cut down the middle, and then I believe I just flipped this over. I think the red and pink is the back side of this one, but again, so this would work if your front and back coordinate. Otherwise, you're going to get 2 cards if you use 2 pieces of paper. Or here come all the ideas. You could use 4 pieces of paper, cut them all 2x2, and make 4 cards. So that'd be kind of fun. And then, can you see the embossing on there? I adhered those 4 pieces to a piece of vellum, and then I embossed it with the Ladybug Picnic 3D embossing folder. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe up here you can see the little ladybug. Very cute, fun embossing folder. So that's a Ladybug Picnic. Then I just stamped some flowers. I don't know what's on the inside. Nothing. I should have stamped the flowers on the inside. So that's my next idea. That is idea number 4. Idea number 5 is just to take your piece. You can see this was 2 pieces. Let's see. So I took 2 pieces and held them together, and I just randomly made a shape. And I used 2 pieces because I wanted to be able to, so whether I did that piece and I did that piece, and then I swapped. So I'm going to get 2 cards out of that one cut out of my 4x4. Isn't that cute? I do like those colors together. So that'll make a nice layer on a card. But what if we pull those 2, again, I just cut it in a nice hill shape, I guess you'd call it. If you separate them, so this is another layer. I'd probably put it this way so the flowers are facing up. A nice layer for a card, and there's lots of things you could do. Pull in the gold, pull in one of the colors, whatever. Here's a card I made with the opposite of these. You can see these 2 were cut and these 2 were cut. And I used quite a few different things on this. I used the Bordering and Beauty stamp set for my crosshatch and my hearts and the crosshatch there. This was the Words and Wishes, I think it's called. I borrowed it from Kristen and I already returned it. But it's not in my cart now. I think that's what it was called, Words and Wishes. So obviously just the stamp set, and the stamps were small enough to fit into the new rectangle punch. And just some extra layers. Again, just gold accents. So that's another idea. If you didn't want to just hand cut this shape, one of these dies might be kind of fun. So this one kind of looks like a dragon back or something. So you have scallops, and so these are the Bordering and Beauty dies. So any one of these edges would be kind of fun. Oh, that would be pretty. So anyway, there's some ideas if you don't want to just fussy cut or hand cut this shape. Use a die or use part of a die. Okay, the next one I have for you is kind of a one-sheet wonder. You know, a one-sheet wonder is when we have a big piece of paper and we cut it up to use it differently. I'll just put it like that. So this is a 4x4 one-sheet wonder. I thought that was pretty funny when I thought about it that way. So I have a 4x4. 4x4. This is from the Waterside Retreat. So there's some buoys and life preservers and life preservers. So this is idea number 6. I cut, let's see, which side do I want to do? I cut 1 inch. So when I'm doing something small, I'm going to leave most of my paper on this side of my cutting track and use the smaller, or the measurements on the right side. Sorry, I got distracted. I looked at my video. So I'm going to put this at 1 inch. So this is now 3 by 4, 3 by 4. Now I'm going to take this 3 by 4 and on the 4 side, I'm going to cut it in half. And obviously 2. So, oh, sorry I hit my ring light. So there are lots of things you could do with this. You could just, let's take a card front. Let's do this one. Pretend there's no stamping on here. There's so many things you can do with a one sheet wonder. You could just kind of piece it back together a little bit. I just replaced my blade. It's still not cutting very nice. Anyway, you could just piece this back together. I'd probably go like this and put a layer behind it, emboss a layer behind it. I know they're not even, but whatever. Just lots of things you can do. You can use them on 3 different cards. Well, here was my idea. I took those 3 pieces and let's use the blue one. I laid them out. Well, this one's going to be different because there was a direction and I didn't look at that before I cut it. So I would do that, which is this one. Just turn sideways. So I put those 3 by 2 on their sides and then that 1 by 4 in the middle. And then I used, I believe it was the Words and Wishes again in Daffodil Delight and white to make my thank you card. There's that Ladybug Picnic embossing folder again. So, and just some gold elements. So here's a card that I can put together quickly. So that is number 6. A one sheet wonder out of a 4 by 4. That's just so funny. That just cracks me up. Okay, number 7. Are you getting tired yet? A bookbinding card. A 4 by 4 is a perfect focal point for a bookbinding card. I am going to have a blog post go live when this video goes live on Monday at 7:30. So when you're done with this video, if you need more information about these ideas, it'll be in that blog post, including how to cut and fold this. I think I will demonstrate it. But this is my 4 by 4 here, this printed piece with the flower. So I decided which part of it I wanted to leave open. This is the Exciting Times with the Rectangle Punch, I think it's called. I don't know. Again, just gold from my stash. Oh, I forgot to adhere this. Let's do that real quick. Bookbinding, I forgot to bind it. Just a lot of glue there because it's going to move. Now it's a bookbinding. As soon as that dries, it'll be a bookbinding. So a 4 by 4 is a perfect size for this. If you're using 3 by 3s, obviously I would add layers behind my 3 by 3, but that's a perfect place for a 4 by 4, which is very often what we do with our quilt cards. Okay, so let me demonstrate that real quick. Since I'm not making any cards, I thought I would demonstrate a few things. So I have a 4 1/4 by 11. So it's a half a sheet of cardstock. I'm going to get my cutting blade out of the way. So I'm going to cut or score in half at 5 1/4. And then I'm going to score again at 4 1/4. I'm sorry, 5 1/2 and 4 1/4. And then we're going to fold this in half. And then this is going to fold back. And then this is where we adhere. And there's our bookbinding. And here I have this piece, another piece from the Waterside Retreat that I cut earlier, another piece. Look at that. And then I can put, I actually cut a 1-inch piece. And does it go that way? Yes, it goes that way. So the waves are on there. So there's another card mostly done. Quick and easy. Add some embellishments. Use a stamp in my punch and embellishments, and it's good to go. I would probably put a piece of white on the inside as well. So that is a bookbinding card. Perfect use for a 4 by 4. That was number 7. Number 8. You can take a piece. This is, I should have gone more difficult, easy to more difficult. Oh, this is going to be a perfect one. I am just going to cut this in half. So, hold on, let me, I get paper remnants in the middle of my track, and I think that's why it cuts poorly. So again, my points are going to go right in the middle of my cutting track. So I'm going to line it up as best I can and close it. Hold on, let's open it again. Make sure my points, I can see right through the track. My points are there and there. Again, I'm going to put my cutting blade in the middle so I don't squish those corners at the top and bottom. So I'm going to hold it down and cut that in half. So this is idea number 8. And then we're just going to take this and separate it. Let's just use this again. I know the colors aren't right, but you get the idea. So, and you could put it, you know, as close or as far apart as you want, within the limits of your card, obviously. And then it makes a nice little track. If you have a long sentiment you like in there, that works well. I have a card here where I did that. And I had a scrap of this peach pie print that I just put in the middle. Can you see that? I think you can. Wait for my video to catch up. Yep. And again, just gold pieces. I put these gold frames. Sorry, they're no longer available. They were when I started all these cards a couple months ago. And just gold accents. So I like to keep all coordinating things together in one bag. So my bag from this designer series paper is very full. So that's cutting it in half. Very quick and easy. This is going to make a beautiful card with those flowers on either corner. All right. And then my last idea, this one is so silly. I wanted something different, and this one is really different. My 4x4 was scored at half in 2, and then I turned it and I cut it in half at 2. So here, these are all 2x2, and this is a hinge. I made my 2x4s into hinges. It looks like it's the same designer series paper when you open it, but you remember when at the beginning of the video, I showed you there were 4 papers with flowers, and you can see here, this one has the peach pie, and this one has the fresh freesia. And I just used those as hinges. I added layers of cardstock because the designer series paper is a little flimsy on its own. There isn't much room to write here, and I haven't done any stamping, so I will probably add this on the inside so you have more space to write. But I thought that was pretty funny. This was so fun, though. I will probably do this again. So if you have pieces of pattern paper when you're getting down to the last bit and you have a few big pieces left. So again, this is an A2 card. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. If you have 1 or 2 pieces or even just 1 piece, but you want that to be the front of your card, use some other papers to make a hinge. I thought that was so funny. But wait, there's more. I have 2 more ideas. My last 2 ideas, you could just use it as a layer. On this side, if you could use this as a layer for anything. Where are some of those pieces that I just cut? I could fussy cut that flower and just use my 4x4 as a layer for a fussy cut or for a die or punch or whatever. I didn't even go that simple with my idea. So that one is kind of an idea, but you know, 4x4 would make a great, that's so pretty. I really don't want to cut it. Let's do, here, I'll just grab, I don't think this is 4. No, it's not 4. Hold on. My last idea, there we go. And we're going to cut 4 by 4. You may have some of these. I know I have a whole bunch, and that is punches for tag toppers. So this one is on the last chance. I believe it's called the Elegant Edge Tag Topper. You may have had this one. It's got the hole in it and just the straight edges. And then this one was a little more fancy with the scalloped edge with also a place for ribbon. We'll use the Elegant since that's available. So if you take your 4x4 and cut it at 2, That is what all of these punches need to create a tag. Let's put this one in here. Get rid of this real quick. You can't really see that. Maybe if I turn it over. And how about this one? We'll use this tag topper. So you can make a 4x4 into 2 tags. Get rid of that. So that is my second bonus idea for a tag topper. I would probably put a piece of white here so I have a place to write to from, and then hang that on a bag or a gift or whatever. So there you go. Let me pull some of my ideas back in. Like I said, I'll have a blog post ready to go. So that's available if you forget some of my ideas or need directions on making a book binding or whatever. Sorry for my reach. So many fun ideas. So this was a great challenge for me. Like I said, I mentioned this at least 2 months ago in a video. I have to get rid of all my little scraps here. And again, I challenged myself to use that floral print for a masculine card. And just lots of things, lots of choices. So I challenge you to use your paper. And it can be as small as 4x4, and you have lots of ideas and designs to try. Thanks for joining me. Have a great week. I expect to be home next Monday, so I'll be live again. I take requests if there's a product you want to see, or a technique you want to learn, or a fun fold you want to learn, anything. I take suggestions. So thanks for joining me. Have a great week.